Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? So we are going to be talking about streaming. This is just kind of a how-to tutorial and kind of maybe a general SEO and a little bit of other tools that I've been using. But, just to kind of get into it, all right? Essentially, all right, Bluestacks is the key to being able to play Android games on PC. Of course, if you guys haven't heard of Bluestacks, essentially Bluestacks is kind of like the mother of all, basically, being able to play on an Android emulator is essentially Bluestacks is your beginner's kind of, if you're wanting to play a PC game on a regular basis, and then occasionally you want to pull up that phone game you've been playing on your computer, this is like the easiest way to do it. Of course, you can always, you can open up like multiple tabs if you want, so you can have multiple accounts running it multiple times, and yeah, it just makes life a hell of a lot easier. Now, Bluestacks, for the most part, I recommend this tool because, frankly, yes, there are other tools out there, but out of a lot of them, I would say Bluestacks is probably one of the more well-known and perhaps probably one of the better Android emulators that I've come across up to this point. Now, it's not to say that, when it comes to Bluestacks that, and this is really, I think, my key argument for Bluestacks versus, like, one that might come out there that you've probably heard of as Nox. All right, now, between Nox and Bluestacks, the only two sizable differences, all right, and this is, in my experience, is where Bluestacks is going to be able to, you're always going to be able to sufficiently update. You're always going to be able to pull in data and everything's going to be perfectly okay. I have, on more than one occasion, had problems where Nox will just completely crash and will completely wipe all the data on your user accounts and stuff, and you have to reinstall everything. You've got to reinstall the whole thing. It's an irritating mess. Now, Bluestacks, I've yet to have that happen to me in particular. So for me, I kind of it goes hand in hand. For me, I feel that Bluestacks is probably one of the more stable Android emulators that I've kind of been using up to this point. But, needless to say, it's just when you're wanting to be able to stream games reliably, especially in the mobile gaming world, this tool is by far one of the better ones to get your hands across. But, again, not to say that it is the, at the end of the day, really, if anything, if I was going to use Bluestacks on a regular basis, and I'm going to have it multiple tabs open at one time, then this is the tool that you want to use it for. If you're going to be opening up like 5 or 6 at a time, Bluestacks is the tool to use. Now, getting into the streaming portion of this, right? So when it comes to streaming, again, I think some of you guys have out there probably wondered, how is exactly that you're going to be able to stream these games? All right, well, when you download Bluestacks, the first thing you're going to want is essentially a recorder. Now, my recommendation is that you get OBS. And if you're curious, what is OBS? Just type it in Google. It's as simple as that. But it's open broadcaster software. That's essentially what the name of the software is. And you want to get that. Second thing, all right, is that you essentially want to establish a YouTube channel if you haven't already. Okay, and you want to get something called TubeBuddy. And again, I'll have the links in the description below if you actually want to take a look at these. But TubeBuddy is basically the king of all extensions. Now, I will say that between vidIQ and TubeBuddy, I say from a, you want to spend some money perspective, TubeBuddy has got some nice features at $20 where it makes metadata editing and being able to mass bulk edit stuff a hell of a lot easier than vidIQ. With the exception that vidIQ, in my opinion, is really nice, and being able to essentially, if you want to do keyword optimization and stuff of that nature, I love vidIQ for that. Now, it's not to say that it's not in TubeBuddy, because really a lot of stuff is in TubeBuddy. In some ways, you can almost completely work off of just TubeBuddy alone and be perfectly fine. I just prefer to use both because, well, frankly, I love being able to grab my data and be able to have it both in my top left bar, but then simultaneously be able to pull it from a lot of other places. It's just, for the most part, TubeBuddy, at least from a content creator's perspective, I feel is one of the more effective, pieces that you can get your hands on there. But really, between TubeBuddy and vidIQ, here's the only thing that I will say between the two as far as Chrome extensions are concerned, is that if you are really trying to figure out which one you would prefer most, the only thing that I will tell you is that between vidIQ and TubeBuddy, the one thing I absolutely love about TubeBuddy is that it integrates with the YouTube platform almost perfectly, where vidIQ is in some ways just it stands apart, and it in some ways, in my opinion, it just doesn't integrate as well, because there are just some things about vidIQ that I wish there was more, and it doesn't do so well as. And to begin with, for example, if I want to mass bulk edit video data, I don't want to have to manually go into every single video and mass edit. That's just a waste of my time. Where TubeBuddy, it's click and done. Now, granted, okay, both softwares in the extension department are both paid softwares for the most part, but you can use them for free too. Okay, it's just that there are certain things about them that, granted, one on the one hand, one is good and the other is bad, depending on what you're doing. All right, but again, you can make up that judgment purely on yourself. Now, another tool that I absolutely love to use is rapid tags. If you're having a really hard time getting tags for your videos, rapid tags essentially makes it so that if you really want to be able to get those tags, now I'm not saying you need to just sit here and copy right off the bat. Don't do that. But what it'll do is it'll give you a really good idea just right off the bat of some tags that you can potentially use for titles that you have. It's really helpful in just kind of figuring out what some really popular search terms are right off the bat, without ever having to go out of your way to actually type them. It makes life a hell of a lot easier, and I love rapid tags for this reason. Another tool is Social Blade. A lot of people, if you've been anybody that's been anywhere near this particular area, you should probably have heard of Social Blade up to this point. Social Blade makes it so that you can basically analyze your channel and get it to a point where you can actually get a really rough idea of what kind of viewership you're getting, what kind of uploads you've got, how many subscribers you're getting per day. It gives you a really great way, or at least a good statistic, on how you're doing each and every day. Obviously, you guys, have been helping me out quite a bit, at least supporting me, and I appreciate you guys a lot. But again, I couldn't help but just show you guys this, because again, I felt, up to this point, I've been telling you guys a lot about how to do videos on Lawrence Mobile, but I thought, hell, well, might as well talk about how to stream. Of course, when it comes to tools, there is, of course, a tool I call Keywords Everywhere. This is another tool. I love to use this for Google search. And part of the reason why is because it's where vidIQ is more like, here you go. Here's a search volume, and here's the competition. This is what I love vidIQ for. There's more, how many searches. It gives you a really great statistical graph. It's that to say that it isn't on here with TubeBuddy. Obviously, TubeBuddy's got it too, and it can tell you just about the same that this does. Okay, it's more or less the same. The only difference is that with vidIQ up here, I can actually see how many views I'm getting every hour. It just makes things incredibly stupidly simple to access. Where this is, it's there. It's, it's not. There's nothing wrong with it, But to be fair, this is a lot more helpful compared to this, and that's saying a lot, because this really doesn't tell me shit. Where this is giving me a really good idea. But now you know. Obviously, where vidIQ and TubeBuddy kind of go out, you can really see. Now, obviously, where you can definitely see a lot of these benefits, though, is it really just boils down at the end of the day, if you are just beginning to stream, all right, is that you definitely want to set up a YouTube channel. One thing, and these are some of the tips that I would recommend to anybody out there that is just starting YouTube, is you want to do your videos between 7 to, at the maximum, 12 minutes. You want to keep your content on point, and think in theory, like series. Think in the sense of what is going to be the most valuable for the niche or the group of people that I'm trying to target, or the the people that I am trying to approach and try to get or attract, and what is the most valuable thing I could give to them. Because every video you should ever make should in some way help someone somehow. If it doesn't in some way inspire you, or it doesn't give you enough motivation to be able to learn more, or it doesn't teach you something, then you might want to add more to it. Another thing is that, if you are just starting out, make sure that your titles are not too lengthy. You kind of want to keep them short and sweet. And to be honest with you, I've found in my experience that if you talk about whatever you're going to talk about in the title, it should more than likely show up in the thumbnail. Now, I did do a bit of an analysis of a lot of thumbnails, and my genuine, I want to say, point of view on this is that if anything, you want to provide kind of a question. You want to boil it down into something that kind of attention grabs. It's a tease, basically, but with the exception that, obviously you get to the freaking point. A person should be able to look off of your thumbnail alone without reading the title and know immediately what you're trying to get across without ever being able to read the title. The title, just like in copywriting, anything else, should be able to at least entice you or sell you onto wanting to click on that video and nothing more. It should be very straight to the point, though. It should not mislead by any means. All right. Now, granted that we've gotten that across, right? The third thing, and this is maybe the only thing that I think really kind of helped me at least better understand YouTube in general, all right, is that consistency is helpful. Okay, scheduling is helpful if you plan things in advance and you kind of figure out what videos you want to do in advance, be able to know what topics to think of. And if you're having a hard time thinking of ideas, literally just type in an idea generator and boom, you've essentially annihilated that issue. But if you're having a hard time and you're just now getting into this, I really think, and this really I think applies to any community that you get into, all right, is that really at the end of the day, just know that if you are going to be trying to niche down and you're going to talk about a certain subject, you got to be kind of an expert as much as you can be in that subject. So I know a lot of people out there that, at least in the particular area of gaming, okay, is that a lot of people can do a video on No Man's Sky. A lot of people can talk about a different game that may be really popular. But what makes a lot of the channels that are big stand out at first is obviously the numbers. It's the sheer amount of volume that people come to watch their videos and are entertained by. But I've pretty much annihilated that. If you look at some of the videos that they started out on, it's usually how-to videos that are garnering the most views. It's usually the videos that are essentially teaching people something at the end of the day. And I feel like that really ultimately ought to be at least something you ought to put at least a thought into. That doesn't need to be all of your content, but I think it does make a good bulk of what YouTube is that at the end of the day, we are kind of a search engine, and that you kind of have to, you can do entertainment. There's nothing wrong with entertainment. If you put a lot of effort into something and you make it funny, or it's the best moments, or it's a comparison, or whatever, all right? It's got to be on point. It's got to be valuable to someone somewhere. Otherwise, it kind of dwindles and doesn't get any attention whatsoever. Now, for those of you out there that are struggling still to get views and subscribers, and you're just starting to grow your channels, I think if anything I had to contribute to this inner circle is that you definitely, most certainly, you need to be able to network. All right, and if you want to know the truth, I think the one thing that really helped my channel out a lot, at least from where we are now to where I hopefully will see us in the future, is that you almost certainly need to find forums that talk about the topic, or at least the niche in which you're in. So in my case, I reached out to Reddit, I reached out to Wii Gamers, I reached out to a bunch of different platforms where I could find the communities that are ultimately my niche and try to get to those people as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, really, I mean, you can't get anybody to see anything unless it's somehow valuable, and you got to get it to someone somehow, however you're going to do it. All right. But having that said, all right, is it the only way? No. I think if at the end of the day, if you're not popular now, worry about it down the road, 50, 150 some videos down the road, because really, I think a lot of videos don't get popular until about 5 or 6 months into it after they've been released, which is strange, but hey, I'm just telling you that's what I've seen. But again, you got to focus on the valuability part of that, and the thumbnails are a big thing. But needless to say, all right, I hopefully kind of covered at least a really brief, generic overview of all these different tools. I recommend that you try them out. Obviously, Bluestacks is, kind of sponsoring us today. But let it just be said, okay, that from wherever you go, all right, just know that whenever you are trying to stream, whenever you're trying to do anything of the sort, know this, all right, is that if you are trying to do it, don't give up and continue doing it as long as you are happy doing it. And that is why I continue to do the stuff that I do for you guys. And that is why I will continue to keep doing what I do as a content creator. Because at the end of the day, I enjoy doing this stuff. I love teaching others things. And I'll only continue to do it. And like I said, guys, it really is a pleasure. And again, if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. And needless to say, I hope you guys are hopefully more on the, generic, the answer to your questions. Of course, I would love to teach you guys more about like graphics design, stuff like that. Again, if you guys ever, if you want to know more about that, I can kind of get into that. But obviously, that requires Photoshop and Adobe, and of course, that's a little bit more on the expensive side. But hey, needless to say, we'll talk about more of that stuff later. Needless to say, though, I'll see you guys next time.